Please like, comment, and subscribe for more terrifying stories. There are haunted objects people fear, dolls that supposedly move on their own, paintings that seem to watch you from across the room, mirrors said to trap spirits. But in a quiet corner of North Yorkshire, England, there is an ordinary-looking wooden chair with a far darker reputation. No glowing eyes, no strange symbols, no carved demons, just a chair. And according to legend, anyone who sits in it is marked for death. This is the story of the Busby Stoop chair, one of Britain's most infamous cursed objects. The legend begins in the early 1700s near the market town of Thirsk in North Yorkshire. At the time, the area was rural, isolated, and full of old coaching roads, inns, and local legends. Travellers passed through on horseback. Criminals used the countryside to disappear, and stories, once born, could survive for centuries. At the centre of this particular story was a man named Thomas Busby. Busby was not remembered as a gentle man. Depending on which version of the tale you hear, he was a drunk, a thief, a counterfeiter, or simply a violent man with a dangerous temper. He lived near a local inn that would later become known as the Busby Stoop Inn. And in that inn, according to legend, Thomas Busby had a favourite chair. It was his seat, his place, the one spot no one else was supposed to take. But Busby's life became tangled with another man, his father-in-law, Daniel Orty. Some versions say Busby and Orty were partners in crime. Others say they argued over money, family, or a criminal operation gone wrong. What most versions agree on is this: the relationship between them turned deadly. One night, Busby and Orty had a violent argument. In the most repeated version of the legend, Daniel Orty made a fatal mistake. He sat in Thomas Busby's chair. To most people, that would mean nothing. To Busby, it was an insult, a challenge, a final provocation. The argument escalated, rage took over, and soon after, Daniel Orty was dead. Thomas Busby was arrested, tried and convicted of murder. His punishment was execution. In 1702, Busby was reportedly taken to the gallows near the place that would later carry his name, Busby Stoop. But before he died, the legend says he made one final request. He asked to stop at the inn. He wanted one last drink. And there, sitting in his favourite chair for the final time, Thomas Busby supposedly placed a curse on it. The wording changes depending on who tells the story, but the meaning is always the same. Anyone who sat in his chair would soon die. Then Busby was taken away and hanged, and the chair remained. For a while, it was just a local curiosity, an old wooden chair connected to an old murder. But then the stories began. People who sat in the chair were said to meet sudden, violent, or unexplained deaths. The tales grew over generations. A chimney sweep sat in the chair and later fell from a roof. A delivery man sat in it and died in an accident. A local worker ignored the warnings, laughed at the curse, and was reportedly dead soon after. Some stories tell of two airmen during the Second World War who visited the inn, sat in the chair as a joke, and never returned from their mission. Others speak of soldiers, tradesmen, drivers, and curious locals who all made the same mistake. They sat down, they laughed, they dismissed the curse, and then, according to the law, they died. Now, with cursed objects, there is always a line between documented history and legend. The murder of Daniel Orty and the execution of Thomas Busby are tied to the story's historical roots, but many of the later deaths are difficult to prove with certainty. Some may have been coincidence, some may have been exaggerated by time, some may have been invented by locals, travelers, or newspapers hungry for a chilling story. But that is exactly how cursed object legends survive. Not because every detail can be verified, but because the pattern becomes too strange to ignore. And with the Busby Stoop chair, the pattern became powerful enough that people began to fear it for real. The chair stayed at the inn for many years, and its reputation only grew. At first, it may have been a novelty, a dare, a conversation piece. Visitors would point to it and ask, "Is that the cursed chair?" Some would refuse to go near it. Others would sit in it just to prove they were not afraid. That is the dangerous thing about a curse. The more people deny it, the more people test it. And the more people test it, the more chances there are for tragedy to attach itself to the story. Eventually, the chair's reputation became too disturbing to ignore. The owners of the inn reportedly became concerned that people would keep sitting in it, whether out of bravery, skepticism, drunkenness, or curiosity. So the chair was removed from normal use. But that still was not enough. Because as long as it existed as a chair, someone might try to sit in it. So in 1978, the Busby Stoop chair was donated to the Thirsk Museum. But the museum did something very unusual. They did not place it on the floor. They did not display it in a way where visitors could touch it. They mounted it high on a wall, out of reach. Not because the wood was fragile, not because it was too valuable to handle, but because the legend had become so infamous that the safest way to display the chair was to make sure no one could ever sit in it again. And that is where the story becomes even stranger. Most cursed objects are locked away because people believe they might move, burn, whisper, or bring bad luck. The Busby Stoop chair is different. It does not need to move. It does not need to speak. It does not need to do anything at all. Its entire power comes from one simple act: sitting down. That is what makes it so unsettling. A chair is supposed to be harmless, comforting, ordinary. It is something you use without thinking. You enter a room, you see a chair, and you sit. But this chair turns that everyday action into a death sentence. And maybe that is why the legend has lasted so long. Because the Busby Stoop chair is not terrifying because of how it looks. It is terrifying because of what it represents. A murder, a dying man's curse, a warning ignored again and again, and a question no one can fully answer. Were the deaths truly connected? Or did the curse only grow stronger because people believed in it? There is another possibility too. Maybe Thomas Busby's final words did not curse the chair in a supernatural sense. Maybe they cursed it through memory, through fear, through the human need to connect tragedy to objects. We see an old chair, and we do not just see wood. We see everyone who may have sat there. We imagine Busby's final drink, his rage, his execution, his warning. And then we imagine all the people who came after him, treating the curse like a joke, until the joke ended badly. That is the power of haunted lore. Sometimes the scariest objects are not the ones covered in blood, hidden in basements, or sealed inside glass boxes. Sometimes the scariest object is something simple, something familiar, something waiting quietly in the corner of a room. Today, the Busby Stoop chair remains one of England's most famous cursed artifacts. It no longer sits inside the old inn. No traveller can casually pull it from a table. No skeptic can drop into it and laugh at the legend. It hangs where it cannot be used. A chair that has lost its purpose. A chair no one is allowed to sit in. And maybe that is the only way to keep the curse silent. Because if the stories are true, the danger was never in owning it, never in seeing it, never even in standing beside it. The danger was always in sitting down. And with the Busby Stoop chair, that one simple mistake could be the last thing you ever do.